Hello, pardon me, and welcome to the Risen Channel. In this video, I'll be exploring a fan theory of where possibly Defender Strange fitted, not in the comics but in the MCU. For this, I'll be using Screen Rant. I know people don't like Screen Rant as a thing, but it goes over a bit more in detail. It's the only article I could find that was worth, because I just had a quick quick scan down. It almost fandom wire, but it's like there's only a small segment. It wasn't even worth doing a video over. So, when I was looking at it, so micro me a bit. Obviously, people. Some of you might be thinking, "Oh, what's the point in worrying about it or talking about it because he's dead?" But it's just interesting. It's an interesting fan theory because, where do these? Because they each fitted in, didn't they, in some way? If that makes sense. So let's have a look, shall we? I think it's also interesting as well. I like Defender Strange as well. It'd be interesting to, especially if they've got Secret Wars and that coming up. So I can't like it as well. So because even though he was awesome in that short time he was in the film, it would be nice. It would be nice to see more of him. Sorry. Defender Strange, MCU theory. Well, actually, no, it's a fan theory. Defender Strange is from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man universe. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness could reveal Defender Strange comes from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man universes and pay off Spider-Man 2. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness will introduce Defender Strange by way of the multiverse, and he could come from. I know that actually look at the date of this article. I mean, it's March 9th, 2022. And so, even though it's wrong, the fan, it's still interesting. It's a fan theory, because who knows, it might, if in Secret Wars we see Tobey Maguire come back, and he might explain, we formed this team, etc. But you'll say more on this theory, but you'll see what I'm getting at. He could be from Sam Raimi's own Spider-Man universe. The long-awaited Doctor Strange sequel has taken a very different form than many expected. This is particularly due to Sam Raimi stepping aboard as director following Scott Derrickson's exit and Marvel's. I mean, no offense to Scott Derrickson, but I'm glad Sam Raimi. A lot of people. There's some people who didn't like this film. That's because it wasn't a typical Marvel film. But if you're somebody like me who was born in the 80s, it had a really good sword and sorcery feel to it. With the music and the thing is, also, I'm not shitting you here, but even though the score for that film may be new, only just been written for the film, I actually get a really big sense of deja vu, and that's because of the feel of the film. It's like oh God, what's that film of Gillian Sands, The Warlock? It has the 80s feeling of The Warlock, sword and sorcery, and with a bit of Evil Dead in there. So it was a really good film. I actually thought it was brilliant. And I think it's supposed to be Doctor Strange. I think it was Doctor Strange. He does deal with, the supernatural and things that are dark and evil and sinister. So it's kind of like, if you read his books, the comic books, they're not typical Marvel. You know what I mean? Because he deals with demons and all kinds of stuff. So so I'm glad Sam Raimi got the job. So anyway. Continues in the multiverse, it is now possible that the introduction of multiple versions of Doctor Strange could even lead to a connection to Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy led by Tobey Maguire. I do think it's a shame though that Bruce it's a shame that Bruce Campbell didn't come back as Ash, because that would have just been funny. Because the April Fool script he released would have been good. It would have made a good scene if it was just for 2 minutes. You know, they pop through to this universe. He goes, "I'm looking for the Darkhold," and he's like, "Oh," and he basically describes a book. Although Ash is talking about the Necronomicon. Although it'd be a good spin, it'd be an interesting spin, wouldn't it? If the Necronomicon and Ash's universe was his version of the Darkhold, that would have been an interesting little twist, there, cameo thing, slight change. Because they are both, same description, Book of the Damned and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it would have been good. It would have been good, Sam. It would have been good. Yeah. Put that there. Sorry, it was moving sound. I didn't lose it. Anyway, so from the very beginning, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness marketing campaign, it became clear that the movie would feature Benedict Cumberbatch as multiverse variants of the MCU's main Doctor Strange. There are so far 2 variants confirmed, including Sinister Strange, an evil variant, but not the same one. Not the same one featured in Marvel's What If. The second only known is Defender Strange, who appears to be the MCU's homage to the Sorcerer's Time as Sorcerer's Time as a member of the Defenders super team in the comics. There are also theories about Zombie Strange, or even the more villainous version of the character, but little is known about. Obviously, when this article came out, the film wasn't out, but we now know that it's. Incidentally, I don't know why they call it a Zombie Strange, because someone clearly does not know the difference between a zombie and a lich. Because the dead body of Defender fits under the lich category more than it does the zombie category. So yeah. It continues MCU's new Defenders team up. Since Doctor Strange 2 is expected to freely explore the multiverse and visit many different universes, it is assumed that the worlds of these variants will be featured one way or another. The trailers have explicitly shown the haunting and abandoned world that Sinister Strange seems to come from, which is the incursion, and we all know what happened there. So, but Defender Strange has not been shown officially, nor was it shown in the film. Viewers should have a chance to see where this Doctor Strange variant comes from, depending on how he enters the story. Well, not always, not necessarily. It did work still, despite the fact we didn't see where he came from. But here's hang on. Let's stop. Even though I do like this theory, hang on a second. Okay, to be fair, this theory was written before the film, but this theory has gone out the window, to be fair, because America Chavez, who spent time with Defender Strange in his universe and became friends with him, never heard of Spider-Man. That's where it falls apart. Spider-Man 2 confirmed Doctor Strange exists in the Raimi universe. It did get mentioned. Doctor Strange might not have made his big screen live action debut until 2016, but Sam Raimi previously confirmed the character existed in the Spider-Man trilogy. The way this is going, I'm going to read it, but I want to say this, because the idea of what I like about it is the idea. Yeah, hopefully they'll cover it in this article, but what I do like is the idea is that after Spider-Man No Way Home, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man went off looking for Doctor Strange in his universe. And I think he was in that room as well when they came up with names. But you know what I mean? So, it gave him an idea, as it were. And why wouldn't you? It'd be interesting. Like, hang on, there's a multiverse. I've met this guy. He's quite cool. I wonder if there's and he knows, he's heard of it through in Spider-Man 2 and that. And they're trying to think of names and stuff. But Sam Raimi previously confirmed the character existed in his Spider-Man trilogy. This came during the events of Spider-Man 2, where when Jonah Jameson and others at the Daily Bugle were attempting to come up with a good name for Octavius villain, while they eventually landed on Dr. Octopus. One of the names suggested was Doctor Strange. Jameson says, "It is a great name, but already taken." This quick line might have just been a fun nod to Marvel's famous sorcerer, but it can also now be seen as a sign that a version of Doctor Strange exists in a Raimi Spider-Man universe. Well, according to the theory, loads of them do. The thing is, though, the only problem with the multiverse theory is there will be some universes where we don't exist, Earth doesn't exist, but and also, in one universe, Doctor Strange could have been a dentist and not a sorcerer or a master miscast. You know what I mean? Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3 didn't include any other mentions or teasers of Doctor Strange, and there weren't any real plans to bring the magical Marvel hero to Maguire's franchise. This wasn't even possible because Doctor Strange's movie rights were not at Sony. Miramax had the rights during Spider-Man 2's development, while Paramount then gained control of Doctor Strange in 2005 until Marvel Studios regained control in 2009. Despite the empty tease of Doctor Strange and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man living in the same world, it was still a fun mention for the Marvel fans either way. Sam Raimi's own love of Doctor Strange and horror supernatural side of Marvel made it clear why he'd want to mention the character in Spider-Man 2, even if a crossover wasn't in the cards. Because he meant another thing I was ready, because he likes Spider-Man, he's a big Doctor Strange fan. Who knows? I'm not saying I do love the first one. I love Doctor Strange films. It would have been interesting if he made the first one. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? To keep that dark horror aspect. You know what I mean? Anyway, now that Raimi is involved with Doctor Strange, this could be the perfect time to introduce Spider-Man's version of the Sorcerer. In fact, the marketing might have already done this for Defender Strange. Such a reveal would likely mean to confirm that this Doctor Strange variant has been a hero for much longer than the MCU's Spider-Man No Way Home made it clear that Maguire's trilogy happened many years ago. So the Doctor Strange who was active during those movies would have been younger back then, as he's becoming a much bigger superhero, though that could be how he becomes known as Defender Strange. There's also another piece of Spider-Man No Way Home that could lend credits to this idea. Maguire's Spider-Man confirms that the Avengers do not exist in his world. It made sense because Raimi's movies never introduced other superheroes around Spider-Man. While the Avengers not existing in that world shows how different it is from the MCU, it could also point to Defender Strange's big difference from the MCU's version. Doctor Strange 2 could reveal that the Defenders are the equivalent of the Avengers in Raimi's Spider-Man universe. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case, but it's a good theory. That would explain why Avengers never assembled in this reality, because an experienced Doctor Strange could form his own super team before they got the chance. Again, though, unfortunately, that wasn't the case because America Chavez doesn't know who Spider-Man is. It's also, do you know what I find interesting though? It's interest. I do find, get a bit chilly. I do find it odd though. There is a slight, people are about continuities and stuff like that, right? But what I find interesting is no one's mentioned the continuity in terms of what do you call it? If you look at 818s, yeah. In the 818 universe, they fought Thanos, but defeated him through the Book of using the use of the Book of Ashanti. But no one's mentioned the fact that, isn't it odd, because they've considered that variable in it for this universe. It's interesting that in Tobey Maguire's universe, they didn't have the Thanos event, because it is an older Spider. Because even though they don't appear to change much, they are set years later. I'm not sure if it's going to change the timeline now because they got cured and they got sent back, or they get a chance. That's the thing, is according to like endgame physics and quantum physics, in Tobey Maguire's universe and Andrew Garfield's universe, those villains are still dead, technically speaking, except they get a second chance in a branch reality, technically. But anyway, so unless of course the spell's affected it in a different way, but we don't know. But either way, it's interesting that in the Tobey Maguire one and the Andrew Garfield one, there is no other superheroes that we know of, and that there was no Thanos, there was no Infinity War. Interesting that, no? And yet there was in other universes of it's a bit of a continuity area, I think, or it could be it happened in some and it didn't happen in others. But and also they never explain why the other variants didn't have an eye of Agamotto. That's the one I can't find an article or a director's interview, an interview where the director gets asked what happened. You know what I mean? Why these variants don't, or the MCU, Kevin Feige, who's in charge of all these different phases, the plan of it, or the big plan, is why didn't defend? Where's the eye of Agamotto and these other ones? You know what I mean? Okay. Defender Strange could explain Tobey Maguire's multiverse cameo, but he's not in it, so. And it was just a shame because it could have happened because him and Sam Raimi and Tobey Maguire are bosom buddies. You know what I mean? For the moment Sam Raimi became involved in Doctor Strange multiverse, rumours have persisted that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man will appear. This speculation has only continued to grow as a result of the sequel's various multiverse cameos, such as Patrick Stewart's Professor X and Maguire's return to Spider-Man No Way Home, although it makes sense that Marvel would use Doctor Strange 2 as an opportunity to unite Maguire and Raimi for Spider-Man scenes. It has never quite been clear how Spider-Man could be involved without it feeling forced. If Defender Strange is from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man universe, then it could be the doorway to Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man cameo and Doctor Strange 2. See, do you want to be? Do you want? It could have been. Oh man, there was a missed opportunity here because the thing is, if America Chavez knew Spider-Man, she goes, "Oh, Spider-Man, yeah, I met Peter Parker," and just to see the reaction on their faces, because they forget the spell makes you forget. But if you just hit a bombshell, I mean, it's like regression therapy. You know what I mean? If she says that, they'd be like, "Whoa!" I know the spell made you forget Peter Parker doesn't exist, but then again, there was a sense of familiarity, like with MJ in the coffee shop. So that would have been like, what? It would come flooding back. You know what I mean? Because they forget with the party, the moon party in Comatage. Well, Strange still remembers that. And he still remembers that he fought some villains with Spider-Man. So, because those events still happen, there's going to be it's just going to be like a little blocker. So as soon as she says that, that's going to blow the blocker away. Be like, whoa, dude! This could be done as easily as seeing a glimpse into Spider-Man in action while in Defender Strange's world. If Marvel wants Maguire Spider-Man involved in any third act multiverse fight, though, Defender Strange could also recruit him as a hero. This would give Doctor Strange and Multiverse Madness a rather seamless way to bring Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man back into the fight. So yeah, I think it would have been interesting, but obviously as we saw, it's like that wouldn't have worked because, as we found out, that wasn't the case because of America Chavez's comment of she didn't know who Spider-Man was. But yeah, now I wanted to share this theory with you because I actually kind of liked it. It would have made it reading good, and I think it would have been funny though if even if it had like really fast pitch going do 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 do. You know what I mean? It could have been funny if she said, "Oh yeah, I know Peter Parker." I'm like, what? And it all comes back in a matter of seconds. Like, oh, what? Oh shit! You know what I mean? And then, you know what I mean? It's like, you know what I mean? It'd been just a little funny twist to it, and sort of thing. But yeah, no, it would have been good. But anyway, and And also, it would be interesting if she goes, "Oh yeah, I know about that." That's why when she said, "Oh, my Doctor Strange," it's like when she goes, the Doctor Strange formed a team or something. Mentioned the team, like oh yes, Peter Parker. Yeah, he's the one that formed. Help founded the Defenders, which is like our group of what's it on. You know what I mean? Doesn't sound that, but anyway. So yeah, I like this theory, but as you can tell, it falls apart. But there's missed opportunities and stuff like that. Anyway. I still want someone to ask Kevin Feige why all the variants of Doctor Strange didn't have an Eye of Agamotto. Just because, you know what I mean? So yeah, because I mean clearly, like when they fought Thanos on Titan, because the only difference was they've beat him on Titan and not on Earth, so they didn't get to Endgame level. They sort of like, I don't know how that would have played out. Because the battle at the end looks like it was on Titan. And of course, mind you, the Illuminati are ahead of the game, aren't they? So, who knows? Yeah. Anyway, have you heard of this theory? What do you think? Do you like this theory? Like I said, it's an missed opportunity, but I like the idea. And you would have thought it made sense. You know what I mean? To have a variant, or it would have made, because it's Sam Raimi. You know what I mean? It just make a nice thing, a nice little Easter eggy thing. But anyway, so if you like this video, hit the like, and if you haven't subscribed, then please do. It'd be great to have you here. There's also a link to my Facebook page and my Patreon in the description as well, and a link to the original article also. So, until the next video, take care. Cheerio.